Hello Darklings! So today I wanted to start with my revised book show and tell videos. This is part 1. For the first time in like 10 years, all my books are in the same place. They're not spread between college, my mom's house, and my dad's house, so they're all in the same building, which is amazing. So because I don't have the time or the memory space to be able to just go on a crazy long detailed rant, I'm just going to kind of make this abbreviated and pull out or point out the books that are the most interesting to note, I guess. So from this top shelf, one of the comical things I have up here is the Guide to Troubled Birds. It's become a rather entertaining meme on Tumblr. You'd recognize it, I promise. Dark Sounds and Curved Roads by my friend Daniel Holmes. Please support his book if you can. You can get it on Amazon. It's full of poetry and original artwork, and he's a talented guy, so I want him supported to death. Up here I also have the Dark Crystal and Labyrinth novelizations, both the re-released hardcovers with all the extra sketches and bonus goodies, as well as the original paperbacks from the 80s, which I don't bother trying to hunt down because it's too expensive for no real reason. There's also R.L. Stein's Dangerous Girls, which was something I read in middle school and haven't thought about in a long time, but it's twin girls get turned into vampires, which is interesting. There is The Daughter of Time by Josephine Tey, which is of interest if you like historical fiction. It's an odd little book. There's Chuck Palahniuk's The Invisible Monsters remix. I went through a big Chuck Palahniuk phase a few years ago. As of 2012, I'd read pretty much everything that he had written, and Invisible Monsters was my favorite. Choke was the one that I hated the most, but a lot of people gave me shit for it, so whatever. Bloodline by Kate Carey was like a strange continuation of Dracula that I liked in high school but haven't read in so long I can't really remember all the details of whether or not it was really good or just seemed good at the time. The Delicate Dependency, a novel of the vampire life by Michael Talbot, is a really good, interesting concept for the vampire. It recently had a re-release with Jillian Ventures doing the foreword. It's very underrated vampire fiction. I highly suggest looking into it. More gems from middle school include The Silver Kiss and Blood and Chocolate by Annette Curtis Claus. Again, books I haven't read in a long time and I would probably be woefully disappointed in now if I tried to read them as an adult, but they were very shocking to me when I was like 13. Whispering to Witches by Anna Dale is one that I read in elementary, middle school a lot. I haven't thought about it in a while and I can't really remember what it's about anymore. There's a big section in here that's all fairy tales, and because I'm planning on doing a series of fairy tale videos, I will save these for another time to talk about them more in depth. So no spoilers. Down on the end here, I have The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde and Other Stories by Robert Louis Stevenson, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, and Ask the Bones, which are Scary Stories short compilations that I've had since childhood, and The Little Prince, and some more books on folklore and superstitions. Down this shelf, a big section of this can all be lumped into one. Down on the end here, I have Maggie Stiefvater books, The Raven Cycle and Ballad, which I really liked. I didn't read The Raven Cycle until last year after the 4th and final book came out, but I ended up liking them like a lot. Clark Ashton Smith is a weird fiction author, kind of lumped in with the likes of Lovecraft. They were sort of in that same era and same club. So if you like Lovecraft stuff but want less racism, this is a place to start. Lucid by J. Bonansinga. I haven't read that one, but it seemed weird. Dreams and Shadows by C. Robert Cargill. Probably would have liked that one better if I was an Austin native or cared about Austin more. So that was an odd one I wasn't able to finish. I have 3 Charles DeLint books in here. The Blue Girl, Moonlight and Vines, and Tapping the Dream Tree. I've only read The Blue Girl out of these. I mean to read a lot more of his stuff. Martin Miller's The Good Fairies of New York was recommended to me by somebody who'd seen one of my videos, and it was very funny despite the spelling mistakes. It was a very entertaining little book. This whole section in here is Holly Black. I've talked about her a lot. Her writing styles influenced my writing style the most, and she's one of my all-time favorite authors. I love her to death. So I have the Good Neighbors graphic novel series, Coldest Girl in Cold Town, her modern fairy tale series, The Spiderwick Chronicles, Beyond the Spiderwick Chronicles, The Poison Eaters, and The Darkest Part of the Forest, and a compilation she did with a friend of hers, well, a bunch of other YA novel authors did, Zombies versus Unicorns, which is a very amusing, ridiculous book filled with stories about zombies and or unicorns. Down here is the Anne Rice shelf. So all of these to here are all Anne Rice. I've read about half of these. I haven't read the rest of them. I've only read the first of the Mayfair Witches series, so I haven't read Lasher, Taltos, Merrick, Blackwood Farm, or Blood Canticle, and I haven't read the most recent one, which from my understanding is ridiculous as all get out, so I'm very curious to read that at some point. I also have The Mummy, or Ramses the Damned, and The Vampire Companion. This is a book that I've kind of mentioned in passing, and I know people would like to hear more about it, which is Vampires, Wine, and Roses, edited by John Richard Steffens. This was one that I found secondhand. It's a good compilation of short vampire fiction, and totally worth it if you can hunt it down, which I think you can get it on Amazon fairly cheap. Also down on here I have Poppy Z. Bright's Lost Souls, which I haven't gotten around to finishing. I kind of got stalled in the middle. And The Hunger. I'm very fond of the film, and I speak highly of it with great frequency, and so it kind of helped to read the novel and understand a lot of the things that the film left out. This bottom shelf is stuff I've shown in a lot of videos, so I won't pull everything out, but I have Dita Von Teese, The Art of the Tease. I have a book on history of pirates, a case book on Jack the Ripper. A lot of the stuff I've had since like middle school too, so there's some vampire handbooks. There's The Art of Gothic by Natasha Schrapp or something. I don't know. That was an interesting one I found in Barnes & Noble. And Fagori by Edward Gorey. I have an H.P. Lovecraft biography. The Best of Punk Magazine. The art book for Crimson Peak. Guillermo del Toro's The Cabinet of Curiosities. And then this whole section I've talked about before, which is Universal Studios Monsters, Monsters in the Movies, Roger Corman, The Hammer Vaults. Those are all things I've talked about in a few movies, or a few movie-related videos. There's also The Asylum for Wayward Victorian Girls from Emily Autumn, from when I was way too into Emily Autumn and was willing to throw money at her like crazy. There's also The Plucker by Brahm, which is a really strange, kind of fucked up modern fairy tale set in the South, and it's all creepy and shit. It looks like a kid's book, and then you open up and realize it really isn't. I also have a couple of Spiderwick relating books, including Arthur Spiderwick's Field Guide, which the illustrations in there are so beautiful they make me cry a little. And then the rest of this is Brian Froud related, because I'm an obsessive person when it comes to Brian Froud. He's one of my favorite illustrators, and I even tattooed a little tiny troll of his on myself. In here, there's all kinds of things. There's goblins, ruins of Elfland. And what started me off was, as a 10-year-old, my mom giving me Lady Coddington's Pressed Fairy book and Pressed Fairy letters. So that's how long I've loved Brian Froud. And then I also have Trolls, The World of the Dark Crystal, which is a comprehensive book if you want to know more about Dark Crystal and the whole world that they inhabit. That covers it really well. Fairy Tales, which he did with his wife. Fairies with Alan Lee, which kind of started his career. The World of Fairy. Goblins. Good Fairies, Bad Fairies. The Goblins of the Labyrinth. And then the most recent acquisition out of the Brian Froud books, which would be Labyrinth, The Ultimate Visual History. I'm a giant Labyrinth nerd. This isn't a secret. I can go on about this movie for 6 or 7 hours, and then stuff like this feeds that fire. So this book is amazing. I almost cried when I read it at Christmas. So that's pretty much everything on this shelf worth noting. I'm sorry I didn't pull everything out. It takes forever. And if you didn't catch the titles of stuff, I'm really sorry. If you need clarification, you can ask in the comment section, and I can hopefully get around to helping you. So anyway, that's part 1. There's still like 3 other bookcases, so we'll see how long it takes to get to those. Till next time, Darklings.